quickly into sustainability as a valued driver in business. So we've exhausted the first 4 units, and the 5th unit will be talking about sustainability as a value driver for businesses. So, like I suggested, value talks about solving problems. So sustainability has a problem, a question to solve, and that's why it's a value driver for every business. So in looking at this unit, we're talking about sustainability, meeting current needs. So we spoke about current needs being met without compromising future generations. And this has been framed by the triple bottom line, talking about the profit, the people, and the planet components of sustainability. So generally, the value and the value driver sustainability does for businesses is around meeting current needs without compromising future generations, framed by the triple bottom line, talking about the environment, reducing footprints negatively, managing resources, and limiting harm to both air, sea, water, and land. That's environmental footprint. For social proof, talk about businesses' ethical behavior, community engagement, positive impact on that community, and social inclusivity and equity among male and female. And also economy, talking about long-term viability, profitability, and stakeholder value, not just shareholder value, but stakeholder value. So that's a way of introducing sustainability as a driver for businesses. So the first session under that, we're looking at the importance of sustainability in businesses, the importance of driving businesses via the sustainability model. Number one is market demand and consumer behavior. The importance for businesses or in businesses is that it drives market demand and consumer behavior by the rise of eco-conscious customers or consumers, and those customers and clients that demand for transparency. So sustainability, if employed in the business, helps market demand, and those that are driven by these concepts patronize such businesses. Very key. And number two, regulatory compliance. The strict global rules around carbon emissions, waste disposals, help companies to comply and avoid reputational risks around non-compliance. So regulatory compliance is very important for businesses. Number three, risk management. Risk talks about anything that would affect the achievement of a company's objectives. So risk management helps mitigate against climate, resources, and social risks that bedevil a company. So generally, that's it about the importance of sustainability as a driver for businesses. And the next session, we'll look at sustainability as a value driver. Sustainability as a value driver, if employed and deployed for a business, helps brand reputation and loyalty. It culminates in higher trust and client retention, which is what businesses want. They want loyal customers. There are some products and services some clients are loyal to because they love the practices of those businesses and they are loyal to that brand. They don't deviate, they don't divert to another product or brand because of their reputation and loyalty to such businesses. And it's because these businesses have been sustainable over time and have driven value through sustainable practices. So another reason is cost savings and efficiency for the business. If businesses employ sustainability as a value driver, it culminates in cost savings and efficiency, energy savings, waste reduction, and recycling. You find out that some of these practices help reduce cost practically for businesses. It also attracts investment, which is the environmental, social, and governance focus, talking about green bonds, impact, and also impact investing. Very, very key. So it helps businesses to stay very conscious of sustainability as a driver. This is very important. Very important. So where businesses stay conscious as are sustainable, or they are conscious of their sustainability practices, they help to drive this investments. People who want to invest, people want to come into such organizations and be a part of it. So somebody may be asking, what are green bonds? Green bonds are they are fixed income securities issued to raise funds, actually specifically for environmentally friendly projects such as renewable energy, energy efficiency, clean transportation, sustainable agriculture, or climate change adaptation. So businesses that thrive with sustainable or sustainability practices can come up with green bonds to raise funds specifically for eco-friendly projects. And the key points around green bonds is that investors get regular interest like normal bonds, the normal bonds, but funds must be used for only green projects. And it also helps companies, governments, and institutions to demonstrate commitment to sustainability. And it also aligns with international standards like the Green Bond Principles, GBP. So the Green Bond Principles is a good product of green bonds. So essentially, green bonds show how finance supports sustainability by linking capital markets with environmental objectives, while auditors may review whether proceeds are applied as promised, because green bonds should actually be used to finance green projects. Very important to take note of. So that's what green bonds is all about. And one of the driver of sustainability, or businesses that thrive under sustainability, is that they attract investment, ESG focus, green bonds, and it impacts investing in such companies. Okay, so that will be it for that short section on sustainability as a value driver. All right, so let's look at the strategies for integration. What are the strategies for integrating sustainability into a business? Number one is assessment and reporting. So tools like LCA, GRI, SASB, ISSB are good tools for reporting. Very important. They are good tools because they help in ensuring that reporting of sustainability practices align with a framework and a model that is internationally recognized. So LCA talks about life cycle assessment, which is a tool for assessing environmental impacts of a product, of a service, or a process across the entire life cycle, like we spoke about earlier, life cycle thinking, talking about from raw material extraction to disposal. LCA, which is life cycle assessment, helps to facilitate this. It helps businesses identify hotspots for reducing wastes, energy use, and emissions. Life cycle assessment also links to life cycle thinking, like we discussed earlier in the subject. So the assessment and reporting tools based on the life cycle assessment will help businesses to be able to report profitably. So those are strategies for integration. So let's look at the GRI. GRI talks about the Global Reporting Initiatives. It's a leading sustainability reporting framework like the IFRS. It provides standards that guide organizations in disclosing their economic, environmental, and social impacts, because it's widely used for transparency and accountability to stakeholders. So that's the GRI, which is the Global Reporting Initiative. Then we have the SASB, which is the Sustainability Accounting Standards Board. The SASB develops industry-specific standards for reporting sustainability-related financial information. It focuses on material issues that impact financial performance. So, for example, water usage in mining, carbon emissions in energy. So it focuses on materials that impact financial performance. It also is designed, SASB, the SASB is designed for investors actually and decision makers, very important. And the fourth one, or the fourth acronym here, is the International Sustainability Standards Board, ISSB. It was established by the IFRS Foundation actually to create an international or global baseline for sustainability disclosure standards. The ISSB integrates bases like the SASB, the TCFD, and other frameworks to ensure consistency, comparability, and reliability in sustainability reporting. So we have the current standard actually, which is IFRS S1, so IFRS Standard 1, which we'll be looking at subsequently, which is a general sustainability disclosure, and also IFRS S2, the climate-related disclosure. So generally, in short, the assessment and reporting tools we just looked at speaks to the LCA, which is a methodology for assessing environmental impact. Then the GRI is broad and impact-based, actually. Then the SASB is industry-specific and financially material. And the ISSB is globally, or a global baseline that is integrated to others. So the study text overblew this. I just summarized most of these points for what we are supposed to know at this stage of the exams. You know, our exams is a month plus close, so we may not have detail, but if you have time, please go through the study text, even though these slides are a summary of what is in the study text practically. So another strategy for integration is stakeholder engagement, employees, engaging them, ensuring they are aware of companies' practices, customers and communities, not just the board, directors, staff, no. Stakeholder engagement is a strategy for integration of sustainability practices. Innovation, talking about eco-friendly products, recyclable or recyclable designs. If you look at some of these products, these beverages we drink, you see recycle me. They are all practices of sustainability. Another one is sustainable supply chain, talking about ethical sourcing, lowering your carbon footprint on the planet, are very, very good strategies for integrating sustainability in a business. It is without challenges, excuse me. Integrating sustainability into businesses are without challenges. And some of these challenges talks about balancing short-term profit versus long-term sustainability. So how to balance this short-term profit? Because most businesses want to be profitable in the short run and also be sustainable in the long term. They don't want to make losses and keep hoping for a positive bottom line in the future. So balancing this could be a challenge for businesses. So that's one of the challenges. Number two is measuring impact. How do you measure the impact of people and planet? Especially where these tools, we just talked about reporting tools, are not predominantly in use by most companies, like we speak about the IFRS and the IAS for accountants. So that's another challenge, measuring the impact. And also change management, the skills and the cultural shift around integrating these models and these tools, and the general apprehension by staff. It's another challenge. Change management is generally a challenge, especially when it has to do with sustainability reporting. So that's a challenge. But then we have the future, which is another section we're looking at, the future of sustainability. Number one is the long-term vision and strategy. The long-term vision of strategy of that business or that model is to be resilient and innovative. Resilience is bouncing back from a major setback, and innovation is being able to create new ideas, products and services that is for the betterment of humanity. So that's the future of sustainability. We also talk about competitive advantage, which is the future, talking about brand differentiation, talent attraction. It's a competitive advantage for businesses to stay sustainable. When businesses are branded differently, and talent attraction, workers, human resources, and retain the best. It's very important. If you notice, Facebook, the owner of Facebook, does this very importantly. When he sees a developer coming up with a very fantastic model, he goes for that person as his staff. It was reportedly said that one of the social media upcoming products, I can't remember the name of that product now, of that platform now, he went to pay the guy $7 billion to own him as a staff, and the guy refused. That's one way of competitive advantage, ensuring talent attraction. I can't remember the name of that platform now. But then the owner of Facebook he gave him an offer. I think later he even doubled it. The guy refused. So those kind of practices ensure competitive advantage in the market and culminates in the future of sustainability. Also, a call to action is to embed sustainability into products, processes, and governance of a system or a company. That's the call to action generally about sustainability, because it drives continuous improvement, ability to adapt to new technology, being tech savvy, and consumer shifts that culminates in customer loyalty. It's very important. A wise man said the biggest room in this world is the room for improvement. And I agree. And that's what mostly the role of people like us, internal auditors, are all about. Our goal is just to drive improvement, improving. And that's what sustainability too is all about. So generally, around discussion questions, let's drive it down now to our exams, because everything we're doing here is for us to be able to pass our exams, very importantly. So driving down to our exams, we must understand that sustainability, looking at some exam-styled prompts, can ask questions around how can your firm use sustainability as a competitive advantage, or competitive advantage coming as a requirement, something like that. So look at exam discussions or requirements around this, or talking about which metrics best measures the success of initiatives among the three bottom line framework, the one we talked about. So should also look at requirements around how do you build stakeholder buy-in internally and externally for a company. Should also look at areas like what innovation opportunities can sustainability unlock. So these are questions, these are areas you should be able to discuss by yourself. I'm not providing answers, and you will not see this in the study text, but then those are prompts and questions you should ask. And how does sustainability build long-term resilience? So these are discussion questions, exam-style prompts or requirements that could come in this form for you to think deeply about. So the exam tip around this is, when asked about business value drivers, you need to link sustainability to brand strength, brand loyalty, cost savings, investor attraction, compliance to laws, regulations of the land, and resilience, ability to bounce back from a major setback. And always balance with challenges and long-term vision. Don't forget those boxes. We'll be integrating those boxes like HO asked that May 2025 tested part of sustainability. So we'll use that question to be able to answer some of this exam tip in these slides we've spoken to. All right, so that's the end of this robust unit on sustainability as a business driver, or a value business driver. All right, so any question? We'll go into the next unit, sustainability reporting, a global evolution. Any question? We are usually quiet. I hope I'm not speaking to myself alone. We are usually quiet. Nobody's interjecting, nobody's contributing so far. I hope we're understanding these major areas.
Well done, sir.
Yes, we understand. We are understanding you. We are with you.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you, TT. Thank you, HO. Thank you, AA. All right, I'm glad I'm not alone. So let's look at the sustainability reporting and the global evolution of this fantastic subject. Okay, so the sustainability and the environmental social governance reporting framework talks about measuring, disclosing, and being accountable for environmental, social, and governance impact beyond just financial reporting. That's generally the idea on sustainability reporting. Being able to report or first measure, that's quantifying and disclosing and being accountable for your impact on the environment, social and governance impacts beyond just financial reporting. So the first session will be looking at the evolution timeline and how did this come about. We need to have an idea on how it came about. It predated 1970s. The early roots of the sustainability movement predates back to 1970, 1980s. That was when I was born anyway. And it came about with the idea on conservation and environmental awareness. So, for example, the Silent Spring in 1992, the Silent Spring in 1992 came about, I think, the first drive for the sustainability agenda. The Silent Spring. It was a spring that came about in 1962, and that sprouted or came about the issue of sustainability. So we may ask that, what's the Silent Spring all about? The Silent Spring, when I was reading for this, spoke about a groundbreaking book by Rachel Carson. Rachel Carson was an American marine biologist and a conservationist, something like that. So that her book exposed the human or the harmful effects of pesticides on the environment, on wildlife, and also human life. And the book argued that uncontrolled chemical use was poisoning ecosystems, killing birds. The killing birds is actually the idea of the Silent Spring. That's no bird song. And threatening long-term sustainability. So that sparked the modern environmental movement, leading to stricter pesticide regulation in the US and the eventual creation of the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, in the US. So that Silent Spring and the groundbreaking book that culminated from that by Rachel Carson was what brought about and highlighted how awareness of environmental risks led to sustainability regulation, corporate, social, and risk management practices. And these themes are central today to audit, assurance, and reporting. So that idea was the Silent Spring in 1962, if I could remember vividly. Then in 1972, there was the Limits to Growth and the Stockholm Conference, which was the UNEP. The UNEP. So this conference was all about ensuring that sustainability practices were discussed extensively. And the United Nations committee, which was termed the UNEP, came about this discussion, and it was a United Nations conference officially on the human environment. It was actually held in Sweden in 1972. It was the first major global gathering to put environmental issues on the international agenda. And the outcome was the adoption of the Stockholm Declaration, which are about 26 principles emphasizing the link between government and also human development. So the conference also led to the creation of the UNEP, which is the United Nations Environmental Program. And this UN body coordinating global environmental action and sustainability globally is important as the foundation of global environmental governance. And it marked when sustainability moved from activism to, I think, policy, regulation, and corporate accountability. So this time were times that built up the sustainability agenda the sustainability idea for businesses. So that 1972 was a conference that was pragmatically and holistically for issues around sustainability and sustainable practices. Then in 1987, we had the Brundtland Report that defined sustainable development around people, planet, and the profit. So in 1987, this came about a report, and this report was building on the triple bottom line. And this had helped to facilitate and aid the reporting on sustainability. Very important. It has helped in aiding the sustainability reporting and also ensuring that the future of the environment is not jeopardized by human species. So the Brundtland Report, officially titled Our Common Future, that was the report, it was all about that, was published by the World Commission on Environment and Development, which is WCED, World Commission on Environment and Development. It was chaired by G.R.O. Harlem Brundtland. That's why it was called the Brundtland Report. And was famous for giving the most cited definition of sustainability development. He divides sustainability, if I remember, or sustainability development by that need, or he said development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So that definition in the beginning of the conversation was enshrined from the Brundtland's report, and it emphasized the integration of economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental protection. That same triple bottom line, and it shifted sustainability into the mainstream of global policy and corporate strategy. So the Brundtland Report is a cornerstone in sustainability discussions, actually. So it's how businesses balance profitability with long-term environmental and social responsibility we've been talking about practically. So that's it about the 1987. And come the 1990s to 2000s, we had the corporate social responsibility and early reporting. Corporate social responsibility and early reporting. So this period between 1990 and 2000s, we started hearing of CSR. CSR emerged, and the first sustainability report, which was ad hoc, also emerged. We also had the AA1000 framework, which came about at that period. And these frameworks, or this emergence of sustainability reports, came about and just kept developing, and there was an evolution in the drive to ensure that sustainability reporting had its foothold on humanity. You see that this AA1000 framework talks about account and ability. That was just the compound word for AA, accountability. They are a set of principle-based standards that guides organizations in sustainability, accountability, and stakeholder engagement. You see that they help ensure ESG information is credible, transparent, and inclusive. And these AA1000 accountability principle standards came about or developed or gave birth to APS. That's the accountability principle standards, and it sets principles for sustainable or sustainability performance, inclusivity, and materiality, responsiveness, impact. So the APS, or talking about accountability principle standards, looks at inclusivity, materiality, responsiveness, and impact of businesses on the environment. It also gave birth to the AA1000 stakeholder engagement standards, which is SES, which provides guides on how to identify, engage, and respond to stakeholder effectiveness. It also gave birth to assurance standards around auditors and assurance providers, evaluating the credibility and quality of sustainability reports. So the AA1000 came about or gave birth to about 3 good standards that are still in use today. And this framework matters because they give auditors tools to check whether sustainability reports are reliable and stakeholder focus. And it also helps auditors to reduce risks like greenwashing we spoke about and ensuring alignment with global best practices. So this AA framework that came about in 1999 for assurance and stakeholder engagement was one of the 1990s and 2020s new development initiatives that we use today. We also have the Global Reporting Initiative that came about around 1997 and is currently being used to date. It has become a main global framework for sustainability, which is very important. We also have the DJSI framework that came about in 1999 and is the first sustainability index that helps to blow up this framework. And it helped because it aligned sustainability practices and it became one of the first global sustainability benchmarks for investors. DJSI is Dow Jones Sustainability Index. It was launched in 1999 and it tracks the essence was, or the main motive was to track the financial performance of leading companies that integrate ESGs or ESG factors into their strategies. So companies, based on the DJSI reporting or sustainability index or the framework, assessed companies using the corporate sustainability assessment, which that time was CSA, which reviewed areas like climate strategy, human capital development, supply chain management, risk and crisis management, and corporate governance. Though it's a sustainability framework that is voluntary and is a market-driven framework, giving investors and stakeholders confidence in a company sustainability practices setting. So DJSI actually shows how sustainability can be linked to capital markets and investor decision making, and it illustrates how businesses gain competitive advantage and reputation and access to capital by being recognized as actually sustainability leaders. So the DJSI came around that 1999 to help blow up the sustainability agenda. Then we have the UN Global Compact in 2000 that stress that responsible corporate policies should come up for businesses. Then in 2000 to 2010, we have the mainstreaming and integration of sustainability that came about. So around this period, we had more regulation around the European Union, France Climate Reporting Law in 2015. So these programs came about for more regulation to facilitate sustainability practices. You see that this EU NRFD came about to help blow out these sustainability issues. And the France Climate Reporting Law in 2015 also came up as an offshoot because the EU NFRD was the Non-Financial Reporting Directive was introduced to require large public interest companies or companies with over 500 employees to disclose information on how they manage the environment, social, employee, human rights, anti-corruption, and diversity matters. And the aim was to improve transparency and comparability of non-financial information for investors, stakeholders, and the public. This NFRD, the European Union NFRD, forms the foundation for the newer Corporate Social Responsibility Directives, which is CSRD, which came up, I think, in 2023. and is on up till now. And it expands and strengthens sustainability reporting in the European Union domain and the countries around the EU. So NFRD is a key regulatory milestone, actually, showing how governments push companies to go beyond financial reporting and address sustainability and ESG issues. Also linking directly to accountability, assurance, and risk management generally. So that was what happened or came about around the 2014-2015, and the ESG investing also surged with funds, education trust funds, stakeholder activism that came about around that same period. And this rise of sustainability or sustainable brands and consumer pressure for transparency was sustained in that period. The SASB in 2011, which is industry specific to ESG standard, also came up around that time. The IR, which is integrated reporting, IRRC, and the framework also developed around this period. There was also the Paris Agreement and the TCFD in 2015, Climate Disclosure Focus, that came about also to help sustain these practices. Very important. So these movements, the TCFD actually were task force that came about in 2015. That TCFD is the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosure. We are to enforce the compliance to sustainability practices. It was actually, the TCFD was established in 2015 by the Financial Stability Board in the US. The purpose was to develop a framework for companies to disclose climate-related financial risks and opportunities in a consistent and decision-useful way, something like that. And the reporting structure around 4 core principles. The first one around governance, talking about board and management oversight on climate issues. The second one around strategies, the actual potential impacts of climate risks on business model and performance. Then risk management was the third one. Processes of identifying, assessing, and managing client or climate risks. Then the fourth one was metrics and targets. Data and goals for managing climate impacts like carbon emissions and the likes. Yes, sorry, I saw AA's hand flashed. AA, sorry, go ahead, interject freely. Your hand flashed now.
Okay, sir. I just want to get clarity on this task force.
Okay.
For instance, this is more like a Paris Agreement, European Union. Do we have something like that in Nigeria that governs, that ensures sustainability reporting?
Okay, good question. Yeah, it's a good question. Actually, you are trying to fast forward that unit where we are coming to. We are coming to that on that unit. But yes, okay, in answering your question, yes. So we'll come to the unit. So we are looking at the evolution currently. And these were what brought about Nigeria coming up with their own sustainability body based on what has transpired in these European countries. Things start and we try to emulate what has happened in diaspora or outside the country to integrate into our own model. So in answering your question, yes, we have, but I'll indulge you patient. You should be patient. We'll come to that, right? I hope you're okay with that.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Good,
you're
good.
welcome. Okay. So this task force, we said, came about to enforce the implementation of some of these practices by ensuring that the TC, the investors and regulators and stakeholders integrate climate change into the financial position, the risk profile, the long-term resilience of the company. And also auditors test alignment of disclosures with the task force on climate-related financial disclosure change by source, the current IFRS framework we have on this currently. And this is to ensure reliability of what is being reported. Then we have the SDG goals in 2015 that influence corporate reporting. Also, we've looked at some of those goals, about 17 of them that came about around this period and had influenced corporate reporting. Now, in 2020, we have the present and the global standardization and technology of sustainability. The European CSRD came up in 2022 and expanded reporting into ESRS and mandatory assurance. So it's very important to take note that lately there are also new regulations on and new promulgations on sustainability, very key. So the European CSRD came about and recently helped to address some of the standards, which is the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive in 2022. It was adopted to replace or expand that older NSRD we spoke about. It requires about 50,000 companies in the European Union, largely public listed companies, listed SMEs, and non-European firms with significant European Union operations to disclose detailed sustainability information. So this EU's Corporate Social Responsibility Directive ensured that reporting must follow the European Sustainability Reporting Standards. And that's why we had the ESRS, culminating in mandatory assurance reporting. And this is to ensure consistency and comparability. It covered actually a broad range of ESG topics under the principle of double materiality. That principle of double materiality looked at how sustainability issues affected the company's financial performance and how the company impacts society and the environment. So disclosures around this must be audited and assured to increase accountability and reliability. So this CSRD showed how sustainability reporting is moving from voluntary to mandatory, standardized and assured sustainability reporting practice. It links directly to audit, assurance and risk management responsibilities and actually demonstrates global trends shaping corporate accountability. This is very key to take note of. And also the IISSB in 2021 created IFRS S1 and IFRS S2. IFRS S1 on general sustainability disclosure and IFRS S2 on climate. We also had TNFD that came about, also blowing up this sustainability agenda. The TNFD came about to ensure the nature and focus was shifted, or there was a shift to biodiversity. And biodiversity talks about ensuring that the issues around the shift from just being profit-driven to ensuring that people and the planet are satisfied was what biodiversity was all about. And the TNFD, which is the same task force on natural-related financial disclosures, TNFD is the task force on nature-related financial disclosures, was a framework for organizations to report and act on nature-related risks and opportunities, biodiversity loss, land use, water security, ecosystem service. And this helped businesses and investors understand how their activities are both depend on impact natural capital. And the framework structured around the LEAP approach, LEAP, L-E-A-P. It was an acronym for what came about that time. Number one, L is locate interactions with nature. So L was the acronym for LEAP, the first one. LEAP, locate interactions with nature. The E was evaluate dependencies and impacts. Then A was assess risks and opportunities. Then P was prepare to respond and disclose. So the LEAP approach was what came about the task force on nature-related financial disclosures, and the recommendations was released in 2023, aligning with the ISSB and global disclosure standards. So the TNFD extends sustainability report beyond climate, which was the TCFD's task force on climate and financial disclosures tax body. So TNFD extended sustainability reporting beyond TCFD to nature and biodiversity, showing a broader shift towards holistic ESG disclosures. And auditors and assurance providers need to verify and align this reporting as it gains global or international adoption. Very important. So that was the TNFD. Then technology, coming off AI lately, blockchain improving ESG reporting, traceability and analytics is another shift or major development we experienced from the late 2000s. So looking at these initiatives around this period, what are the future trends? The future trend speaks to greater global standardization on ISSB, GRI, SASB, and CSRD. And the future trends now comes to mandatory assurance. Just as we have mandatory external audits in a year, very soon we're having mandatory assurance, which is the future trends globally for sustainability reports. And also integration with financial reporting, which is the true integrated thinking, aligning sustainability and making it mandatory for companies to report. Currently, I think is voluntary, but then that shift and the future trend is coming very soon. And that shift from inputs, outputs, the real world impact is what is going to happen very soon and is predictable. And also the ongoing stakeholder engagement and materiality assessment is part of it. So the key organizations driving this change is the GRI, which guides global guidelines, the SASB and ISSB, guiding financial material disclosures on IFRS S1 and S2. Then the IIRC, the organizations behind the integrated reporting, the TCFD on climate change, the TNFD behind natural related financial disclosures, climate and nature disclosures are those key organizations driving this. We also have the UN Global Compact, voluntary business principles. The UN Global Compact drives these voluntary business principles. Then the international standards on organizational sustainability and social responsibility standards drive this. So generally the challenges with these movements and driving this change and the criticism around them is greenwashing. We spoke about greenwashing and misleading claims. Then poor data quality and comparability are challenges. And complexity of sustainability issues are the challenges bedeviling these movements. But the benefits actually outweighs the challenges. We also have high costs of reporting, especially for small and medium scale enterprises. In some parts of the world, SMEs are mandated to report on sustainability and could be costly for such businesses. And also weak enforcement in some regions like Africa, which very few businesses are aligning currently in Africa. And also short-termism and the long-term goals is also a challenge because most businesses look at the now and the future. And also lack of expertise in this ESG reporting is also a challenge. So final thoughts around sustainability reporting speaks to a shift from environmental awareness to corporate social responsibility and standardization, and the global regulation that just came up on the IFRS S1 and S2. I'm talking about the future and standardized assurance, which is impact-driven and integrated with financials, making ESG central to business strategy and accountability. So for our exam tip around this, if asked about responsibility or reporting frameworks, the investor expectations of global trends, mentioning all these frameworks, plus challenges like greenwashing, we need to be able to remember, even though integrating any of these frameworks is just for us to understand how this evolved, the evolution of the sustainability idea. So integrating any of these may not require a detailed discussion in exam, but just referencing some of these acronyms could help provide context, telling the examiner that you have in-depth knowledge of the evolution of this, but in summary, brief way of presenting these ideas. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, AA asked a question and we're coming to that. So this is 10 o'clock. We'll have to stop here. In the next class, we'll be looking at the evolution of sustainability and sustainability reporting in Nigeria, which was what AA wanted to know or get the idea of. All right, so in the next class, we'll be looking at this. But if our November 2020